How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. And you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out, actually. How did you find me?
So I was searching internet, so suddenly I got you.
Okay, cool.
So before talking about you and the work that you are doing, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Sure. So, so I'm Jonathan Barone. I'm a data engineer by day, and by night I'm an indie hacker. So what does that mean? So it means, yeah, a data engineer means that I work on like on getting data to business users in company so that they can run. I mean, they can get insights easily from the data. So I make sure that like all the data comes from different data sources, and then they will be loaded in a database, and then they get to do like they receive reports. They can crunch the data for their business purpose. So that's the thing I do as a job, full-time job. And then on the I also have a side hustle. Um, so yeah, I'm building a project on the side, and I share on Twitter, what I'm learning, what I'm building. Yeah, so that's I think about it. Yeah, actually, I'm in Hong Kong, and originally I come from France. Yeah, in case you were wondering.
Okay. So your project is about?
Yeah, so I'm building Bipdash. So it's actually a tool where I create threads, Twitter threads. So you can, there's a UI and you can browse and search for threads. I create them per topics. Every day, actually, I'm running a script. I have a list of Twitter accounts, and this script will check like all the news threads that they published on Twitter, and I load them in my database, and then I will review. Every day I will review them, and I will assign topics, and yeah, then you can search. You can search on the UI. You can read them as a blog post. So it feels like nicer to read the Twitter thread. Yeah, and oh yeah, also you can subscribe to the email feature. I just released it today. So yeah, but so it means like you can like subscribe to topics, and then every week you will get an email with like the latest threads for that topic, or for this topic. You can choose like two major topics. Yeah.
So you are originally from France,
Yeah,
but you moved to Hong Kong.
that's correct. Yeah, like six years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have educational background, the data science.
Yeah, I have a master degree in computer science, and with a data specialization. Yeah, data mining.
Okay. So I did masters in software engineering and graduation in computer science and engineering.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Where did you in Hyderabad?
yeah, in Hyderabad, in India.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah. So I have idea about data science and machine learning and AI, but I'm not too deep into that. My subject is some software engineering. So you when you started, what was your first project? How much experience you have as a data engineer?
Oh, when I started, you mean my full-time job? Um, yeah, that's a good question. So it was like in 2010, so like more than 10 years ago, and the technologies were like different, so I was working in Paris, in France, in banks, mostly banking or insurance industries, and their data needs, like they were building data warehouse, like enterprise data warehouse, which were using like Oracle, and also like like those ETL software, that they use they use a GUI, like a UI where you drag and drop your functions. It was like kind of like a no-code software from that really like old kind of no-code software, like Informatica or IBM data stage. That was like that was IBM data stage that I was using. So I was loading, mainly focusing on ETL. Pipelines to load data from sources to the data warehouse. Yeah.
So you worked in France as a data engineer in that particular project. So which was what you learned in the process?
Yeah, so I learned like how to like the data warehouse, data warehouse principles, like so how do you load raw data, the raw data which is not clean, so you have to like format it in a special way. You have to build data models, and like you create your tables. You have to optimize, optimize your views, optimize the process, because the volume of data is huge. So I learned, like, because in school you don't learn that. You don't learn on the huge volumes of data. You will learn you will learn the theory, right? But when it comes to the reality, it's like there's a big difference. And so you learn how to use like those software ETL, ETL tools that I mentioned. But then when I moved to Hong Kong, that's where I learned like Python, open source. There was really a shift. And I think when I was in France, my position wasn't data engineer. At that time, it was called ETL developer. Yeah, data engineer was like was more famous like in starting from 2016, I think, at least in Hong Kong, maybe before in the United States, but I don't think so in Europe or Hong Kong. Yeah.
So after coming here, Hong Kong, you became a data engineer. So what was the first project that you did?
When I arrived in Hong Kong, actually, I started as a waiter. I was waiter in a restaurant for like 3 weeks, but then I was a consultant for 1 year, and then data engineer. So my first project as a data engineer, I was also building the data warehouse, but this time it was on the cloud. So I was using Google Cloud, Google Cloud platform. And I remember they needed someone, so I was the first data engineer to go in this company, and they needed someone that understand APIs. Like no one could understand APIs. Like how do you pull data from a third-party API? So I learned that when I was consultant, because I was learning Python and open source, and so I got to try pulling data from, like, I think it was already from Twitter, using TweetPy, or using maybe that kind of client module. But I built like pipelines, also loading the data on Google Cloud, and I discovered Airflow, all the technologies that are still relevant today for data engineers. Yeah.
So how much time you took to learn once you came to Hong Kong?
Sorry, how much time did I?
Yeah, how much time you took in order to understand the data engineer topics and
Uh,
preparing for that?
yeah, how much time did I take to learn the data engineering topics? Actually, um, I'm still learning every day, really, because there is a lot like this, this field. I mean, data engineering, it's evolving super fast. There is always like new, let's say like, yeah, maybe new libraries, being in Python or Java, or, um, because I also, learned Java Flink for doing, streaming ingestion. So it's different from like when you use Python, usually you don't do streaming on the fast, streaming pipelines. Yeah, there is so many technologies and so many frameworks. Also cloud, all the cloud services, and you need to know not only about like loading data, but you need also to learn about like software engineering in general. Like the good convention, the best practice, right? You need to learn about a little bit about also DevOps. Like you need to know about CI/CD, like, why? Because yeah, because we use Python, to build pipeline, and you want to quickly test, make sure that the quality of your pipeline, the code in itself is the quality of the code is good. So actually, like maybe 5 years ago, software engineering with data engineering, it was like more, how to say, it was more flexible, meaning that data engineer will focus on SQL, optimizing queries, and yeah, they will know Python, but I will the degree of knowledge in software engineering was less, and now today it's very like it's. I mean, data engineers caught up, with the best practice in software engineering. I can see that. It's good actually. It's good. Uh, some data engineers, or they know backend for sure. They know like the backend technologies, backend languages, Go, Python, Java. But some also need to learn front end technologies. Because if they need, I don't know, like to build web apps. Because sometimes they are involved in building data products, and then you need also the UI. So yeah, there's always a lot to learn. And also, so I was talking about the frameworks, right? Like there is this, the data warehouse, everything is centralized, right? But now today we talk about data mesh, right? So like the uh, distributed data infrastructure, like where you have different data domains. That's something that I will work on probably in the next few months. So excited. Yeah.
So what is data engineer in general? What is it
What
about?
is
Where, yeah, what is data engineer and where it is used in IT industry?
um, yeah, yeah, that's this this question makes me think about I always see on LinkedIn, people like especially like the past 2 3 years, people asking like, so what is the difference between data scientist and data engineer? Like for people it's confusing, right? What are data engineers doing? And yeah, so it's different. Data scientists, they they use data. Actually, okay, maybe if I put it simple, yeah, data engineers, they provide the data for the data scientists, right? We provide good quality data, robust data on time. It's super important. Um, so like we checked that it's fresh data, that we are sure about the source. Um, so yeah, it's basically because like data from when you go at the source, it's really chaotic. it's really hard to use actually. Like if you go and tell a data scientist, okay, now like you have to try by yourself to get the data that you need, and then he doesn't have the tools in place. For him it's really hard to build a machine learning model, to, I don't know, or maybe to run some statistical analysis. So that's what data scientists do, right? But it will be very hard without a data engineer to pull all the data, consolidate the data in one place, and then also have the tools on top of the data that facilitate the access to the data, right, for the data scientists. So we provide data, we provide the tooling to make this, basically the tooling for running analysis or running machine learning models. And we also provide the data governance. I mean, we provide, it's not the right word. I would say we ensure that the data governance is applied, meaning like who can access the data, it's really important. Also, is the data well documented? Do you have the metadata about the data, like when was it refreshed? The refresh is super important, right? Because many people, this is one of the first things that the business user, when they look at their dashboard, they will come and they will say like, so when was the last time that the data was refreshed? This is a question you will get. Yeah, I don't know if I explained it. It's quite long, my explanation, but yeah, basically, we transform the data. Like we take the data from source and we put it in what we call a data warehouse, or data lake, also data lake on the cloud. And yeah, that's it.
So how much time it takes to understand data engineering?
How much time? I would say, okay, yeah. I would say the most important at the beginning is to know SQL. You need to know also Python. Have a good level in Python. So meaning like you master all the basics for sure. But you also need to know about, like, let's say, object-oriented programming. You need to know functional programming. You need to learn. And so SQL, Python, you need to know about all the different kinds of databases also, like how to build data models. So to be a good data engineer, I would say it's not before like 1 year, 1 year and a half, at least. Like, and it's also being data engineer, if you're not working, I don't know how to say, because I don't know the schools today how they can teach data engineering. But for me, I really learned it on the job, right? Like during my jobs, I didn't learn that really at school. I would learn about the only thing that is close is the data warehouse concept. So I learned the theory a little bit, like during 6 months, or less than 6 months. Something like 5 months. But other than that, it's really about on the job. Like you have to get your hands dirty on like building pipelines. You have to schedule it, and then you have so many bugs. You have to understand why it happened, and then it's like software engineering. You can always do your projects at home. It's easier to learn. It's easier to be self-taught software engineer than to be self-taught data engineer, I think. Sorry, again, your question was just how long, and then I answered a lot. But yeah, I would say minimum 1.5 years to 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, so there is so much data that is being generating every day, every minute, every second, all over the planet. So how you people, data engineers, are able to manage this amount of data?
So yeah, that's That's a good question. Yeah, there's more and more and more data, and it's growing exponentially. But the thing is that we don't have to process all of the data in one go. You know what I mean? So that's the trick, right? Like you have to process the data on a daily basis, usually, or it can be even, I mean, daily basis is quite a standard. So meaning like during the night, usually there will be a script and then you process all the data from the day before, So like, let's say it starts at, I don't know, 6 a.m., or maybe before, like it can be 4 a.m. And then you will process all the data from the day before, right? But you can also have like hourly, every hour. You can also have like every 15 minutes, or some can be even more regular. Like, and then you are close to doing like a streaming ingestion, where it's like continuously streaming. So the data is pulled continuously from the source to the destination. So there are more and more tools that help us, like put like how to handle the data in memory, let's say. The libraries and the tools are getting really like better and better through time. So it's a mix of tools. It's a mix of good processes. It's doable to process all this data, but again, we don't need to process all of it all the time. It's like you want only the latest data to have the latest picture. Like usually people, they want the latest picture, and then if they really need like years of history and do a query on years, can be harder. This is where you need like big data frameworks like Spark or these kind of technologies where you can process terabytes, gigabytes, terabytes of data. Yeah, it's possible there. And actually, there are also like some cloud services that help you, managed cloud services. So meaning that it's abstracted, right? Even a business user could run. Business user maybe not, but let's say like an analyst could use it. And in the back there is a processing of maybe a terabyte of data, like a service like BigQuery, on Google Cloud does that. Yeah.
So the physical infrastructure, physical data centers have moved to the virtual now, which is called as cloud. So how this virtualization concept, you data engineers are able to manage, how it was before as a data engineer, how you people used to manage the physical infrastructure, and now how you are managing the infrastructure which is there in the cloud as a engineer.
Sorry, actually, I'm not sure I got the question right. You mean like, I know you want to compare between before when it was how to say, I don't have the word, but on-premise, right? The on-premise infrastructure, and then versus the cloud infrastructure, right?
Yeah,
what is your
it's
question?
inside the computer.
Yeah.
My question is, as a data engineer, before you data engineers used to manage the data which was there in the physical infrastructure, which was on premises. Now you are managing and maintaining and doing engineering work for the virtual data center. So the physical data center to virtual data center. So what is the different type of working style as an engineer?
So for actually the difference is how to explain that? It's quite different, and at the same time not too much. I will explain why. It's like the languages, like the interface for data engineering. Like, so if I say SQL, the language SQL, it's still the same. It has not changed. When I run Python, if I run it on the cloud, my script, or if I run it on my server, I open a terminal and I I connect to my server and then I run my script. I mean, those things, like those are pretty much the same if I was doing that on my server, on my server on my on-premise server. And if I was doing that on the cloud, it would be looking the same, but behind, what happens behind with the computers, right? With the machines, right? What happens behind the scenes? This is where it's completely different. Because on the cloud, you have I don't know how many machines, right? They are like all connected. And when you use cloud services, basically they will distribute the data, distribute the workloads on many machines. This is where it's really different. And usually the services, they will abstract that for you. You don't know, you don't really need to know. But for some type of data engineering work, you need to know this. And this is what maybe you heard about Hadoop, right? Do you remember this concept, Hadoop? Yeah. It was invented by Google. I think 10 years ago already, or maybe even more. But, so Hadoop it's a distributed. It's using a distributed file system for you to process. You can process data. And there's also MapReduce, and I mean those technologies and those frameworks, you can still use them today with things like Spark. You can use Spark with Python or with Scala, and you can decide how your data is going to be distributed, basically. So you have like a fine control on that distribution of the data on multiple machines in the cloud. Like if you were using Spark on premise, I don't think I have heard like you will have to basically make a cluster of machines. I mean, I've never heard of anybody doing that, but it must exist, because I'm thinking about banks, today actually, but some banks are going to the cloud, especially like in the past 2 years, yeah. But before that, they were using clusters of machines for sure, and so I guess data engineers in banks they had to do like Hadoop or use big data frameworks on premise. But I think it would be really hard to maintain. You have to have an army of DevOps people, also to maintain the clusters. It's such a headache, honestly. I think, I think cloud makes things easy, basically. This is how it's really making our life easier. Like when I started, in Hong Kong, that first job, I told you I was learning Google Cloud Platform. During the job, I was learning Google. I didn't know Google Cloud Platform before. So, but actually, it was easy to learn. Really, it's like, especially for engineers, it's really easy to learn. Like the documentation is clean. They have tutorials. Like the basic functionality is easy to get with Google Cloud. So yeah. So even if you're alone, like I was the only data engineer, but I could still manage to to deploy services, data services. I think if I was working on premise, that would be much harder, because then you are relying on much more IT people, basically. Yeah. So that's where it's different. Like data engineers, data teams in general, with the cloud, they don't need the traditional IT team. I mean, I think they need the DevOps people, but that's different from the traditional IT, I'm thinking about you. Do you remember the DBA, database administrators, right? Those kind of roles. Or with cloud, they don't exist anymore. Do you hear there's not so much need of DBA for the cloud, Usually it's for on-premise, like they are needed when you're hosting your database on-premise.
Do you have any particular experience that you cannot forget as a data engineer?
Sorry, do I have a particular expertise that
Any particular experience that you cannot forget as a data engineer?
I cannot what? I'm sorry, I
That
couldn't get.
Do you have any particular experience that you cannot forget as a data engineer that
That I cannot
happened that you cannot forget?
forget.
Yeah,
You mean like something that oh, like a particular memory
yeah,
about what?
particular memory. Yeah, yeah.
I see. A particular memory as a that. Oh yeah, well, I mean for sure, like the things that you, yeah, that's actually not a so cool I mean so good memory, but it's part of the job. You learn that it was a mistake actually that I made. Particularly with the cloud, it can be easy to, and that's something that yeah, that if people are watching, something to be really to cautious when you are running on you are running services on the cloud, is that you have to monitor your bills, because like you have to be careful about the budget, because the cost can really go up, and then if you don't see that early enough, then I don't know, like at the end of the month, sometimes it can be even 2 months, 3 months, then when you see the bill that you have to pay, it's like what. uh, and it happened once, yeah, on my first job in Hong Kong, like that first data engineering job. Yeah, it happened at that moment. Like I was running like basically queries on BigQuery, using Google Cloud BigQuery, and BigQuery is quite expensive actually if you are not careful, if you are not using it in a clever way. You have to use like partition table. Like I'm getting a bit technical like when I say that, but basically I was not. Yeah, I was. The worst is that I built partition table, but I was not using the partition field. So it's like you are not using the partition table at all. So when I was running a query, it will scan the whole table instead of just scanning the partition. So it means like every day I was loading, it's an incremental loading for the table. So the table was growing every day. So it means like the query was getting more expensive each time. And then like after a few months, the query was already like super expensive. So yeah, like my manager and I saw that. I think my manager told me like, "Hey, what's going on? Like it's getting expensive." And then that's how I was like, oh, okay. And then I checked, then I monitor. I put, this is actually when you learn you learn, by doing this kind of mistake, then you will learn many things. You will learn like how to monitor properly, how to set up alarms, how to, this is a good fuel for you to learn how to properly, address the mistake. For sure. Yeah.
So, what are the tools, what are the softwares, or what are the technologies, or what are the programming languages that a person need to learn in order to become a data engineer?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, you need to learn. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit late, but you need to know SQL. You need to know SQL, and so that's a must. Actually, data analysts need to know SQL, but also data engineers, because as a data engineer, you need to be able to optimize the queries, right? Because like usually data analysts, they will craft their queries. They know how to build metrics. They will know how to build group bys and aggregations and stuff. And but you know better like how the tables are structured. As a data engineer, you need to know exactly like what's happening at the table level. So you know better how to join. Like what kind of join is better. Uh, so SQL is the first one. Secondly, you need to know a backend language. It could be Python, it could be Java, it could be Go, it could be Node, JavaScript, Node.js. Usually, it's good to know at least two. I would say, like, if you have to start with the first one, I would say Python. Python will be like it's the most used. You have to know it, and then it's good to have a second one. Like usually a good second one will be either Java is still very popular. Like Java. Why Java? Because Java is good for like for the big, like the heavy data workloads. Like when you have a lot of volume to process, maybe when you want to process it fast. Java is faster than Python. Still faster today. So yeah, but Go is also good. I mean, it's more recent. Like Go is more. It's a younger language, but it's getting really like the traction on Go is it's really huge today. I think it's in the future Go will maybe be I don't know, but it's gonna stay. So yeah, but Python is a must because with Python you have access to an ecosystem of open source libraries that is just crazy, like, and then as a data engineer you need to know that. You need to know like Python pandas, so like pandas is wow, I'm not going to explain exactly what it is, but it's really used by a lot of data teams. If you go in a company, they usually use Python pandas to do data manipulation. They will build like data sets or reports using pandas. There's a lot of applications, of pandas. So this is one Python library that I mentioned. But you need to know cloud technologies. So like it can be AWS, it can be Google Cloud or Azure. It doesn't really matter which one, actually, to be honest, because like the skills that you will learn, they are transferable. Like if you learn like a compute storage and database on AWS, you can then apply that knowledge, on Google Cloud or on Microsoft Azure. Why? Because cloud, they use like command line interface, they use APIs, right? So, and then they have the console, right? Those are like the three things that you have in every cloud. But once you get to know, once you know how to use each of these, but most importantly, I would say the command line is super important, and the APIs for sure. The console is like, as data engineers, so data engineers, they don't really like too much the console, but if you talk to a DevOps people, the DevOps, they really don't use console. They want to use only, the command line or APIs for sure. But yeah, so that's, and what else? So yeah, as a data engineer, what you need to know. So, and I didn't talk about that because we focus on the tech, but you also need to have a good sense of. You need to know you need to know what happens in the data. You need to know, like, you need to understand what the data mean. Not as, you don't need to know as good as the data scientist or like even the business users that you don't need to know as much as them, but you need to know like what is what is the ID column. You need to know, like, you need to be able to say, like, how do I find a unique row, in your data? Like, you need to know, like, which column you have to use to find the unique, identifier. I mean, this is really important to know that. Like, basically, the data engineer is this is the person that knows, like, okay, this data, let's say this column came from this data source, and then it was joined with this other data source here to give birth of a third column here. Like, data engineers, they know exactly, like, how, like, the data lineage, through the pipeline. They know exactly, like, yeah. So that's something that you learn through times. It's not like by knowing SQL or Python, or it's something else, like, yeah. I don't know how to explain that, but it's one of the most important things as a data engineer, actually, is to be able to track the data everywhere, like what happens, what happens throughout the pipeline. I think that's it. Once you know that.
Yeah. So yeah. So how you are able to learn and adapt to new technologies that are coming?
How am I able to learn the new technologies?
Yeah.
How am I able? It depends. Like before, I used to like deep dive quickly in how to explain that. Like I would read a lot of different articles. Actually, oh yeah, for data engineers, I would say the best articles are on Medium. Like on Medium, you have to follow a few publications, like I don't remember the name. Oh yeah, Towards Data Science. This is one. I mean, Hacker Noon. I mean, there are a lot of publications like that. Um, Free Code Camp, maybe also there are some data engineering. But yeah, like you learn to know which author, like you have to follow, and then they tend to do an amazing job at curating the latest, or maybe they will talk about their project when they used the latest library or the latest technology. I also follow like also people talking about AI, like NLP or stuff like that, because I'm interested. It's not necessary. I mean, for data engineering, it's not a must, honestly, but it's always good to know. Because why? Why? Because if your teammate is working on on building machine learning, like if you work with data scientists, it's good to know about NLP libraries, like what you can use, and it's always good. But yes, how am I able? It depends on on what I'm working currently. If there is a use case for that, then I will try. I like that when you have a new use case, you have a problem to solve. Let's say in your company, you have a data problem, and then this is where you can experiment. Like you say, okay, cool. So now I will review all the libraries, and then you can compare. You do your benchmark analysis. Yeah. I don't know. Like I could take an example. Like you have to select a library to deploy models. What is the best framework to deploy models? As a data engineer, it could be something you have to do, especially for new teams. And yeah, you could review different frameworks. Like there is I don't remember the name, but the one from Uber is MLflow, I think. Yeah, you have also Kubeflow. Yeah. I mean, you have different frameworks like that, and then if you have that use case, you can compare them. This is how you learn the different frameworks. Yeah, this is a way you can learn. Another way, it depends on the data team's problem, right? Like the problems you have to solve, basically. This is where you learn the most. It's by solving problems. Then otherwise, when I browse and I learn, but I don't really remember everything. It's hard. Right? You have a lot of articles to check. It's not always easy.
So what is a great quality that you have as a data engineer?
That's a good question. I haven't. I think it's the first time somebody asked me this. A great quality is that you pay really a lot of attention to details. Actually, that in the sense, those details I mentioned. Remember when I said the column, the ID, I mean that a lot of details about what happened through time on the data, but also like where this data is stored. So it's like your brain is a map, of everything that happened to your data on the cloud. It's so you have an extra. I mean, you're really careful about all the details. Those really tiny details that matter at the end of the day. That's really something that that engineers are good at that, definitely. Yeah.
So there are different platforms on internet like YouTube, uh, Facebook, Instagram, uh, social media. So all these have their own servers. They have their own data centers. So they're giving the free space to upload their files, upload their updates, all those things. So there is so much data from these social platforms has been uh, uh, uploading. So how in coming days as a data engineer, what is going to happen? What do you think that is going to happen? Uh, to do the internet, these service providers, these companies are going to put some restrictions in order to save uh, the data in the uh, I mean space in the data centers, in the servers, or how what your imagination is in coming days. They are going to put some security measures. You have to upload only 10 by 10. I mean 10 GB in a month or 50 GB in a year, like this. So, what is your because there is unused data, and there is not connect the data which is not being used. There are a lot of data in YouTube also. Not everybody is getting their recommendation list. They are not getting the previous videos like in 20 years back, 10 years back. Only people, if more people are clicking on the video, it is coming into the recommendation list, and that is being viewed multiple times. But there is so many videos that are there in the servers which are not coming out and showing in the user interface. So how this unused data is going to be managed? At the same time, uh, how uh, how these companies in coming days, these uh, free space providing companies are going to uh, do they put any restrictions? What is your view?
Mm, so I haven't heard of any, like space shortage soon. I mean, because we're still able to. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. I don't want to say like things that will be incorrect. But I just my guts on this is that I don't think there is a shortage on space. Like basically, we are still able to store a lot of data, and that's there is a different layers of storage. Like there is, I'm sure you heard of like the cold storage, like and the difference between cold storage and I think the other one is hot storage. I mean, like the one that is accessed constantly because you mentioned the YouTube videos, right? Like if you have a popular video that would getting a lot of views, so this video is accessed frequently. So this video will be stored somewhere that is like in how to say that it would basically it would be stored on a specific server, but then all
Yeah,
the yeah
they are unused videos are
yeah
they are not
yeah
coming
unused
into
video,
their.
they will be like exactly they will be like on the cold storage, so meaning like they don't need to be accessed frequently, so it's like archived, so basically this there's not so much traffic between those machines, so those machines can be isolated, the archived data. I don't know like what we will. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that because there is also Web3 coming, because you mentioned like those companies, social media. I mean, like they are from so those are centralized, like I mean, like the centralized apps, right? They work with database that are centralized, but then there will be Web3 coming. So meaning everything works on blockchain, so everything is even more distributed. So that's why I'm thinking the storage is not a problem, I think, because there will be always new machines, connected on this distributed ledger, the blockchain, and you can put a yeah. You, I think we won't feel the capacity yet. I mean, we won't feel the capacity soon. Um, yeah, that's. I don't have too much opinion honestly other than that. But yeah.
So compared to previous years, before 5 or 10 years, the data accessing through the internet was little slow. Not the user don't need to get he. I mean, he's trying to access some information from any website or any server. It used to take a lot of time. So now it become very faster because of cloud. Every company is moving their infrastructure to the cloud, and they are able to access information from anywhere on this planet. uh, uh, don't know, the data is stored in the nearest data centers, or I don't know what exactly happens internally, but in general, the information and the data is accessed from anywhere and very fast. Today we are able to communicate on Skype very fast, and the data transmission is very fast. So this is
Yeah,
this is improved. There is a lot of improvement in year by year.
yeah.
So what are the changes that are going to happen in accessing the data in coming days?
Um, yeah. Um, so so yeah. First, I think there will be a lot of changes that will happen once people would companies, businesses will use more and more the blockchain. There will be a huge shift in we how we access the data, because once we all have our yeah we all have our wallets, we all are connected on blockchain. The data is completely decentralized. It's another kind of access. You don't have to go all the way to a to hit that API and then that database which is centralized somewhere, even if it's replicated, as you mentioned. You said data center, but yeah, you're right. If you talk about Google, Facebook, Instagram, I mean, um, they have servers everywhere. Even if I'm in Hong Kong, you're in India, someone is in US. I mean, for sure there will be a server next to them, that can provide the right data. But not all businesses have like strong replication of data across continents, right? So sometimes the database is still like far from you, right? So some requests can be very long to process. But the future of data access, um, yeah, I think it would. I don't know. Actually, I mean, first it would be much more like distributed on the blockchain, right? So this this will still be using cloud, as we know. So this is still machines on AWS or machines on Google Cloud. So you see the infrastructure. I don't. Yeah, there's not too much change, I think, in the infrastructure from now. Mm, Not that I know. So that's why I don't foresee a big shift in the data access yet. Yeah, other than the blockchain, like meaning like so it's going to be public, it's going to be immutable, the data will be immutable. So, but you will have certain permissions to yeah to process certain bits of data here and there on the blockchain with smart contracts. You know, I'm actually just learning. I started learning that a few weeks ago. Yeah, Web3. Yeah, it's really interesting. Uh,
So do you have anything that you don't understand about data engineering?
a lot. I mean, that I don't understand. To be honest, yeah, there are things that like Hadoop. There are things about Hadoop that are very hard to grasp. I don't know. Yeah, there are. I mean, but about like what you don't. It's hard to know what you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so there are many things that I don't know because I just don't know. I've never seen, maybe never seen that. Sometimes I've been confronted to that, but um, in data engineering, what is hard? honestly is when you don't have the right environment for you to work as a data engineer. And I will explain that. It's that when the company is not data driven enough, this is where like problems. There are problems that as a data engineer you will be facing many problems. What I mean by that is that you have to have like a strong buy-in from the top of the company in like in for them to invest in data solutions, in like data infrastructure. Yeah, it's very important. Yeah, you were saying, like in terms of technologies, they are not. I mean, it's not. It's okay. I mean, AI is getting so fast also, but so yeah, on this, I feel lost sometimes. But I like NLP. I try to follow as much as I can. I also one thing that I like also is didn't mention, but the graph technologies. So meaning a graph database. Like things like knowledge graph. This is a new technology. I mean, not too new, but still very nascent. And I think there are a lot of cool use cases, and there will be more and more use cases in the future with knowledge graph. So meaning like on knowledge graph, what's important is the relationship between data points. Not only in the classic database, it's your data point in your table. Each row is one data point. But on a knowledge graph, it's the relationship between the different data points that matter. And then there are a lot of business use cases that can be solved. Main problems that can be solved using graphs. And that's and for the data engineering, this is quite cool. I think you learn a new way to look at the data with knowledge graph. Yeah.
So you manage so much data, you do engineering work for so much data. So you worked on different projects in your experience. So what do you understand about these management?
What do I understand about the management?
Yeah, there's engineering, creating data tables, and
Okay.
connecting one with another. So what do you understand about this complete scenario?
What do I understand about the complete scenario? Yeah.
The connectivity between things. You do this structural and construction work, right? You are
Yeah.
responsible for this. So what do you think? What do you understand as a viewer?
You mean the data modeling when you are building like your
Yeah, yeah,
your table schema,
yeah,
and then how
yeah,
how the tables are connected.
yeah.
This is one of the most important thing. Yes, as a data engineer, this is one of the this is one of the things you work on the most. Like most of your time, you need to maintain the data model because people will ask you to add. Like they will ask you to add new source of data, or maybe they will ask you to change whatever. It could be change the column type or change multiple things. So you are the owner of the data model. You need to to make sure that it's maintainable, that it can serve multiple problems, and at the same time it can scale for the future. If you do a model that is too clunky, like you didn't invest enough time to think about how you're going to structure it properly so that it can scale. You can like add new domain, or you can you can add multiples. Like I don't know, like if I want to add 10 new sources, I should be able to to add them easily without disrupting the existing model too much. Those sort of questions. uh, um, So to answer your question about what do you see about, yeah, Do you mean as a data engineer, after doing that for many years, like would I have a different view about that? Or I mean, no, it's yeah, there are different frameworks on data modeling. Like as I mentioned, the building. I mean, yeah, the data warehouse. It's a data model, data warehouse. I mean, basically, it's evolving. There's data lake. In the data mesh now. So you always have to learn also that. So the data engineering is not only about the tools, but there's a lot of frameworks like on how to manage data. Correct. So I'm still learning, but it's exciting. That's why I want to continue. That's why I want to continue being data engineer actually. I don't want to change for the foreseeable future.
So, a person without having a technical background, can he able to connect and understand the data engineering and can become a data engineer?
Someone who doesn't have
Have
any
a
technical.
technical background, technical educational
Yeah.
background.
Mm, mm, no, it's not really possible because you you need to know, you need to know data modeling. I mean, you can talk with data engineers, so I would say there's a way you can, you need to know what is an API. You need to know you need to know some basics in data modeling, and you need to know what is an API. You need to, in order to not being able to replace a data engineer. You cannot do the work of a data engineer, but at least to understand, and to, yeah. And because in your question, you were saying, can a non-technical person do the work of a data engineer? No. So the response is no, but they can, they can understand. I think it's important that they should understand. They should try to understand as much as possible because I mean, communication is key, in this. No, it sounds like obvious, like communication is key in every profession, but really because data teams are central, they are central team, and then usually they communicate with many teams. They communicate with the source team, and then they communicate with the consumers, so data providers and data consumers. So it's really important, I think, that the data providers and data consumers, they need. I think it's important that they understand what is data engineering. Yeah, even if they are not too technical. I think the software engineers, understand data engineering usually, because they are technical. Yeah.
So, at last, what do you say about my questioning in this conversation?
What do I think about the questions? Oh yeah, I think it was really interesting. It's the first time. I think I was nervous at the beginning, but then I got more comfortable. I really like talking. I think you got a good question about data engineering, and I can see that you are quite interested to learn, or maybe I think you know quite about data engineering, right? Yeah, you are data engineer.
Yeah, I did. After software engineer. No, I'm not data engineer. I'm a software engineer. But recently I did some. I took training for AWS solution architect position. In that, I was learning the services of AWS, the cloud
Cool.
services.
Cool.
The EC2, how
Okay.
EC2 works, how
Yeah.
databases works. So
Yeah.
how the
Yeah.
fundamental, the basic services of AWS. So I was trained. I understood how it works. So I know little bit of data science. From you, I came to know today the difference between data scientist and data engineer. So that's a new point I learned.
Oh, cool.
So
Glad
yeah,
that glad that you could learn something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested, but I saw the global infrastructure of AWS. I
Hmm.
saw how many data centers are there for
Yeah.
AWS. So,
Yeah.
and also I live in Hyderabad in my country in India. One data center is allocated to my city, and that is going to
Okay.
be, yeah, that is my IT minister here, the politician. He announced in recent news that AWS data center is going to come here.
Oh, okay. You mean a new availability zone, or is it
Yeah, availability zone.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Easy. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'm sure
Nice.
some people here, local people, will get jobs like data engineers or like data managers or
That's good. Yeah, that's good news, actually.
yeah. So that's how I have that general knowledge about data and data centers and
So
the cloud services and all, but
you're still
not too
you're still
technical.
you're still studying?
I have done my masters and yeah, I got 3 to 4 jobs in different countries. Like
Ah,
I got in
nice.
UK, Canada, US,
Okay. And
and I
you're
live in India. Yeah,
as a software engineer,
yeah, as a software engineer, as IT director.
IT director.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
And
I have my own websites like that. Also, I have understood about. I maintain my own. I mean, I took hosting in a hosting provider. I took hosting and I'm maintaining and managing my own websites. I'm writing my own content in my websites about the training, what I learned, AWS, and
oh,
the
nice.
yeah. And also I was after my masters I was interested in doing PhD. I
Mm-hmm.
thought to do PhD in computer science. Then I learned all the subjects of my graduation and post graduation in order to give my entrance exam for PhD.
Okay.
But after some time, for some other reasons, I was not continued or decided to work and then I started learning AWS. Then I got knowledge about cloud services, the management, and then I understood it. And my background helped me in understanding the services. And I think that cloud services don't need much coding knowledge. It's like
Hmm.
except few services, I this I have very little knowledge about cloud. I didn't went into all the services, but I saw the overview. So some services I have accessed. I have free tier account. I
Yeah.
saw
The
I
free
saw
tiers
some,
are
yeah.
the free tiers are
Yes.
quite generous on AWS. Yeah.
Then yeah. Then I thought to become a cloud engineer. Then I got jobs in different domains in IT. So I thought do something, anything related to IT or as IT consultant or anything related to IT. I want to learn. So from great people like you who are already engineers who have already the industrial knowledge, how the things work, I thought to learn from you people at the same time tell uh, the practical things uh, to the world, to my audience. So I have like social media following from quite. I'm a content writer too. So like that, I gained some followers. I
Yeah.
have some
That's actually
followers.
a good way to the best way to learn is to teach or also write about it or yeah. So that's cool. So you mentioned you have a blog. You're writing on your website, right? Do you like also cross post on like Hashnode or Medium? You know, do you post your articles only on your website, or would you also post
Yeah,
on the other
I will write my
platform?
post and I will share on my social platforms
Ah, cool.
like
Yeah.
everywhere, like LinkedIn,
Okay.
Facebook, everywhere. So,
Okay. So yeah, please share with me the your website, and I
yeah.
would like to check
Yeah,
after.
and also you share my your website and what you write.
Oh,
I saw your website already. You are writing about your own company, right?
so yeah, with Bipdash, I've wrote I've wrote 2 articles, but they're a bit outdated now. I actually plan to also have my own website, like talking about, I will be talking about my projects, but also what I'm learning on my, full-time job as a data engineer. So I kind of want to have a full picture on what I'm learning. I think having this kind of website, like your own personal website where you write blog posts, and I think this is cool. This is, then you can show portfolio of projects, you can show your articles. That's the way, right? Like, but many people do that, and I think this is it. I just didn't focus on that. Like, I'm too much on projects rather than doing this work. Yeah.
But it consumes a lot of time, right? It takes a
Yeah.
lot of time if we try to explain some topic that we learned, that I understood. Some error, I got some error, then I want to explain it. So it takes time, but
Mm.
somebody will learn. It is not that we should. I just wanted to. Somebody should learn from what I know. So I want to share that. So somebody will get knowledge, and also it helps in making things done very easier, directly the
Mhm.
points. So
Yeah.
that's why I do that. I have like 6 to 7 years content writing experience, technical and non-technical
Six, you have what? Six?
content. 6 years of content writing
6 years.
experience.
Yeah, 6 years of content writing. Oh,
Yeah,
that's nice. That's a lot. Cool.
yeah, yeah. So I will share your blogs. I will share your links, web links, if you want,
Yeah,
to my audience.
sure.
Definitely they will. I'm sure they learned a lot from you today, from our conversation.
Thanks, Dan. Really appreciate the talk that we just had. That was cool, man.
So uh, do you want, if you want to share anything in future about the work that you're doing, or if you start your own company, or if you have your own blogs, or if you do anything on, you want to share with my audience, you can come to my show again.
With pleasure. I will let you know if I have a new thing that is significant to share.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Sure. Yeah, please do it.
And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast, website, internet,
Yep.
social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Keep going.
Thank you,
Keep
Zach.
doing what you love.
Thank you, and keep doing the videos, and the spreading. Like, it's good. It's good. These interviews, these kind of chats like this. Yeah, keep doing it.
So, what do you say about my videos on my YouTube channel? Have you seen any videos?
Yeah, I have seen one before, because I was curious, like, I wanted to know, like, what kind of question you ask. So I did my little research. Now I watched one video with I don't know if I mispronounce his name, but Mika Iverson, or Michael Iverson, like he's building open makers, and that was cool too. Like, he had a lot of like a strong vision. I like to hear what he had to say about his project. Yeah.
So, what do you say as a data engineer? Because you have already you have done so many projects, and you know how things works as an engineer. So, what do you think? What is your observation about my videos? Me talking with different country people who are into different professions, and who are into technology, and who are into non-technology. How this is going to add to my profile?
I think it will. It is. I mean, because there's a lot of videos. I didn't really look at, like, I didn't really. Yeah, I think I saw that you have a section of video on AWS, right? So, like, there is a, yeah, right. There is a section on you, or not a channel, but right? I don't remember how you call that. You have a lot of AWS. So I knew that you were interested in cloud, and but about data engineering, I don't know. I'm not sure if you talked about it before or not, but I think it fits. It surely fits, because I saw some videos about software engineering, cloud. So data engineering is quite close. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite related, and I think it's a good choice of topics. Yeah.
So thank you, Jonathan, for your observation.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk later.
Bye. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.